What's the worst way to lose your hunter?
Disconnecting.
Second worst way.
Disconnecting.
Hey friends. Oh, this is the crow I'm eating. Hey, have you ever watched something you love slowly become a shadow of its former self? It could be a band, a sport, your dad after the divorce, or even video games. For me, it's the latter. And at the top of that ladder is Showdown 1896, an extremely unique and atmospheric first-person extraction shooter developed by Crytek, you know, the studio behind the Crysis franchise and that one game that lets you live out every man's dream of saving Rome. It's sort of like a Tarkov Light, set primarily in Louisiana, where the bayou is overrun with monsters not dissimilar to zombies, and eldritch horrors for boss monsters called targets, which, when killed and banished, drop bounty tokens that must be taken to one of several extraction points on the map. This is one of the main ways to make money, which you use to buy better gear for your characters, known as hunters, so you can stand an even better chance of successfully repeating the same process. If you don't make it out alive due to the environment, enemy players, or simply the match timer, well, you lose your hunter and anything you brought with you. Showdown boasts incredible sound design, a tension-filled and addictive gameplay loop, intense firefights with mostly period-accurate weaponry that makes you feel like a badass cowboy, and all the Southern Gothic aesthetic your heart could desire. This is one of my absolute favorite games, and like my dad, I want to see it thriving. He honestly is, but the same cannot be said for Hunt's hemorrhaging player base, which has crashed from nearly 60,000 players on Steam, Hunt's all-time peak, to an average of less than 12,000, less than 4 months later, the lowest average seen in 4 years. And this was during an event that added a new game mode. Post Malone says this is the best game.
It's the best game.
So why does it struggle so hard to retain new players while simultaneously driving away a once extremely dedicated core player base? The idea that the steep learning curve is the thing preventing new players from getting invested is a myth. There's a lot to absorb, sure, but as far as your typical FPS enjoyer goes, I'm as dumb as they come, and I caught on just fine, even when the game was harder.
In my day.
And as far as pushing old players out, the great gaming monster monetization isn't to blame either.
Hey, get out of here. Get out of here. I'll get to you two later.
The real problem standing in the way of Hunt's success is that Hunt Showdown is built on spaghetti code, with Stone Age servers and a development team that can't seem to get their priorities straight. If those developers could read, they'd be very upset. Maybe it's not that they can't get their priorities straight, maybe they're not allowed to. I don't know how this multi-million-dollar company and its subordinate development teams are structured. I don't know whose fault this is. Maybe it's upper management, maybe it's lower management, maybe it's an employee mad he got moved to the Crysis 4 team and away from all his friends, sneaking in at night to mess with the code and clean the whiteboards. I don't know who to blame, but Crytek, the gloves are coming off, pal. I'm throwing down the gauntlet, and a third idiom involving gloves. If I can't pinpoint where to direct my righteous gamer rage, well, I'm just gonna have to shit on everybody's desk. It won't be pretty, but as Kendrick says on TV Off, somebody gotta do it. And being somebody who knows Crytek's track history quite well, I will also make a prediction later about just how well this Post Malone event will go. We begin my crusade with the update that brought in the most players at one time that Hunt has seen to date, known as the 1896 update, because Crytek added 1896 to Hunt Showdown's name to let people know progress had been made.
New players, raise your hands if you knew Hunt was originally set in 1895. Nobody? 1896 still sounds old as shit? Yeah, that's what I thought.
This update was probably Hunt's largest, bringing with it a new map, new wild target, new weapons, new gameplay mechanics, the new Scorched Earth event, and the highly anticipated integration of CryEngine 5.11. With so many new things on the table, 1896 was a massive opportunity for Hunt to explode in popularity, but they biffed it. They whoopsied and let their efforts fall victim to the scourge of modern gaming. The old busting beetle. The coming cricket, masturbating mantis. You know, a buggy release. Opening your in-game map after a boss banish would straight up crash your game.
This map is gorgeous.
Isn't it just?
It is so pretty. Crytek has outdone themselves.
There's people.
Uh-oh.
Like, I mean...
My
like
game froze.
What?
Can you hear me?
No. Crytek has really outdone themselves.
My whole game is frozen. I think I crashed.
Did you have the map open?
I was opening the map, yeah.
Yeah, a boss just vanished. That's a bug that they didn't end up fixing, I guess. You're
What?
gonna have to restart the game. Yeah, apparently some people have an issue where after the boss is banished, if you look at the map, your game can freeze.
Oh, Crytek, Crytek has really outdone themselves this time.
And if you're not the one banishing a boss in Hunt, you're likely checking the map to see where the banish is taking place. We were crashing more than a drunk baby on the Autobahn! This game-breaking issue took around 2 weeks to fix, which by then was well past Hunt's free-to-play weekend on Steam, meaning this was many potential buyers' first and last impression of the game. On top of that, and our screens, is Hunt's menu cursor.
Well darn. It appears...
Did you forget to reset?
No, it appears I've got the cursor bug again.
This is really annoying, and took like 3 months to even get partially fixed. The engine upgrade was supposed to streamline bug fixes, but we still haven't gotten all the fixes for all the bugs it introduced, including, but not limited to, the ones with Hunt's new user interface, which was a disaster on release, and using it feels like digging through your parents' spare kitchen drawer.
Their first patch said they had over 600 UI bug fixes, like specifically UI bug fixes.
How do you ship something with that many bugs?
And we still have UI bugs that we hit every time we build a loadout.
If you happen to watch the video I made shortly after the launch of the 1896 update, you might be thinking, damn, I thought this guy wanted the devs to give him his own Lamat skin.
Full disclosure, I want a custom Lamat skin from them.
I did, but now that I've had some time to think about it, I've realized that it would probably be bugged.
Even their goddamn hotfixes add bugs.
I promise, I am aware I am publishing this video right before another big update, one that is promised to bring a large number of bug fixes, but I don't f***ing trust it. I'll explain more later when I predict the outcome of this event, but historically when Crytek adds new content, new bugs appear, even with the old content. It's like each string of code is a domino and Crytek is a fat cat beelining for an open tuna can. Please forgive me for beating a dead horse, but Hunt Showdown is so buggy right now that its community is wondering if they even have version control because of how frequently old bugs that were fixed keep coming back a month or two later, like your broke ex asking for money on Facebook Messenger. I'm just waiting for the reload bug to pop back up, a bug that caused the reload animation to play without any ammo actually being given to your weapon. This took them 2 years to fix, and the first time they tried to fix it, the fix caused the Lamat pistol to deal obscene amounts of damage, forcing Crytek to roll the fix back. I get that all games have bugs, but Hunt seems to have a disproportionate amount, made doubly frustrating due to the permadeath mechanics and how much time can be invested in each match. Dying for reasons entirely outside of player control, like bugs, leaves a much more bitter taste in your mouth in a game like Hunt compared to single-player Bethesda games or even other FPS titles. Do you know what else is outside of player control? The servers. And Hunts are like a potato battery and a hamster wheel had a baby, and then that baby was set on fire, got drunk, and then hopped on the Autobahn! If they gave out game awards for an embarrassingly inconsistent online experience, Crytek would be German Larian. I just teleported. Oh, a Shadow Leap? No. I felt like my hunters were running through knee-deep wet cheese for the entirety of this last event, Harvest of Ghosts, with the ghosts in question being my packets. Newer players who have seen Hunt's inner beauty and actually stuck around, who might have more stalwart faith in Crytek's attempts to improve their game, reinforced by a refreshing uptick in communication, might not know this, but we were promised server and network infrastructure improvements over a year ago.
In particular, something that you brought up on a gameplay stream, you were asked what was going to be the primary focus of 2023, and I believe your response was servers.
Number one problem to address, or number one priority, I think it was. So
you can see how, like anyone who's heard "Babe, I Can Change," much of the player base that's been around for a while would feel extremely wary of false promises.
How have the servers been for you?
Absolute dog shit.
Bro, it's been like for 6 years, man.
They think we need Post Malone, but no, we need better servers.
It's the best game.
Server quality should really be a priority for any competitive multiplayer FPS game. The fact that it doesn't seem to be for Hunt, combined with the current technical state, is frankly unacceptable for a game almost 6 years out of early access. Oh, you thought this was early access? You would think that, wouldn't you? You would think that. You would think that.
I like how the game didn't even crash for me. It just soft locked my entire computer. Actually, hard locked it because I couldn't get out without shutting it down. It hard locked my PC.
You would also think I'd be staunchly opposed to Hunt's latest monetization and marketing strategies, like Post Malone's Murder Circus event or the Ghostface DLC, which was greenlit in what I assume was Crytek's attempt to poach aging Zoomers terrified of Omni movement from Activision. But while I get that some longtime players might feel that even a huntified Ghostface clashes with the established aesthetic, something many feel is a core part of Hunt's identity, I would argue that the Great Pumpkin cultists are worse, and more importantly, belts.
The more belts you add to a character's design, the cooler he gets. This is just a rule. This is a high fantasy rule. The more belts. This man has what, 4 belts? 5 belts? 6? With belts on his arm?
I think JRPG Studios and Goth Kids caught on to that a long time ago.
This man has so many belts, I must have him.
And as for Post Malone, I think a key takeaway from the Q&A he had with this Crytek employee wearing the shortest shorts HR would allow is that Post Malone plays the game, Post Malone likes the game, and let's be real, Post Malone is a better fit than Ghostface for the game's aesthetic, which is already like 70% beards and face tattoos. Also, I really like Sunflower. And like the 1896 update was, a collaboration with Post is another big opportunity to bring in new players. But new players are going to expect a somewhat stable experience from a 6-year-old game, and I'm worried this marks Hunt's last opportunity to regain lost ground. I think the smart move would have been to wait and take some time for something like an Operation Health before trying so hard to reach a new audience. This would also allow them to make extra sure the return of the old maps and wildcard conditions goes smoothly. Oh, that's right! The newest players don't even know how much content is currently missing. When 1896 dropped, Crytek pulled the 3 original maps out of rotation to update them for the new engine. We got Stillwater Bayou back a month after the 1896 update, but have waited 2 months for Lost in Delta to return, which still leaves the return of DeSalle, as well as the 3 wildcard map conditions, Inferno, Thundershower, and Ashbloom, which respectively alter the existing maps with either a raging wildfire, thunderstorm, or the creepiest fog you've ever seen. The last 2 provide low visibility states, which are one of the requirements for Rotjaw, Hunt's other wild target, to spawn. Without these wildcard conditions, and only one of the 2 maps we can play on allowing for a presence, we've been seeing Rotjaw about as much as out-of-state friends, or even friends more than 30 minutes away, because, let's be honest, who has the time? The point I'm trying to make here is that Crytek gave us new but broken toys and took away a bunch of our old toys we really liked that were only kinda broken. They've taken things from us before too. Generators, the flashlight, hell, they even took home rail. Everyone is experiencing the game with twice the bugs and half the content, all on servers that are straight dookie. I call it a clown show, but that's more on the nose than a clown nose on a clown's nose, because there are currently clown cosmetics for sale. The timing couldn't be funnier even if it were a conscious entity intentionally going for irony. Even funnier is how Crytek removed the in-game lore books with the 1896 update and have stated they have no intention of returning them, and yet we get Post Malone lore via a Twitter image and 0 context lore regarding the new twin-headed bear monster via an email. I feel like I'm playing in a homebrew TTRPG, but the GM has ADHD and keeps losing half his notes. I don't even care that Hunt's balancing decisions seem like they're being made by 2 devs using the system of, well, you got to pick what we did last time. Because at the time I'm writing this, there's a bug affecting aim sensitivities on dual pairs of pistols. It's an aiming bug in a shooting game. That's nearly as bad as a reloading bug in a shooting game. And whatever influx of new players arrive with Post Malone's Murder Circus, they'll be met with 100 more weird buggy things just like it. And whatever positive changes are brought, like trade window improvements, the return of Lost in Delta, and even more new content, it's all being experienced on servers that are, as I mentioned, straight dookie. Distasteful monetization practices, the death of uniqueness, and confusing balancing changes that I didn't even go into be damned. If Crytek wants Hunt to thrive like my dad with his new family, they need to prioritize the core necessities for a functional multiplayer first-person shooter. Otherwise, their attempts to reach a broader audience will continue to fail, and the last of the original player base still clinging to hope will put down the game as they realize that it's they who are the clowns. Okay, prediction time. Somebody take notes. Post Malone's Murder Circus event looks like a blast, and both the new players and the returning old players will celebrate the aesthetic, tone, general vibe, and cosmetics implementation. Pre-made teams of 3 will beeline the shredder before promptly running to extract 3 matches in a row and then make the 4th match a living hell for everyone else. Just like the last, I don't know how many events, despite bug fixes, there will be a bunch of new ones, and at least 1 pack trait will be bugged to shit. Crytek will be aware, but choose not to touch it, and if they do, I'm going to assume they did it just to prove me wrong, in which case, you're welcome everyone. The servers will shit themselves within the first week in at least 2 regions, requiring maintenance and a servers are back online happy hunting message. The servers will still feel like ass. There will be at least 1 exploit related to dark site discovered and then promptly abused. And all the chaos will hit its peak during the 2 weeks everyone at Crytek goes on vacation like they do every December. Well, it's been real buggy, which you'd think I'd like, but my eyes have always been bigger than my stomach, and frankly, I've got school to do. And from the looks of things, the devs do too.